All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation. I'm about to start a celebration.
Well, here we are again. Welcome, everyone.
Good day to y'all.
Good
day to y'all. Do you live up north or down south?
I don't know. I don't know what day it is. I don't know. I'm neither here nor there.
Oh,
interesting.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you are here. You are here right now, and this is another episode of Three Cocktails In. Stacy, Amy, and Kitty. Thank you guys for tuning in. We cover lots of different topics, and tonight we are going to dig into what we're calling the Reboot project. And this has been kind of fun to prepare for, and I think the initial part of our conversation will probably lead into some others as well. But we became very curious, excited about the fact that The Four Seasons, which was a classic movie, was remade into a Netflix series. And I think we all dived in very quickly and binged through the whole thing. So we're going to dig into that and have a fun little conversation about the reboot of this classic film.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I watched the series because I love 75% of the actors and actresses in it. Mm-hmm. I recognized all of the actors and actresses in the original, which was a movie, but I had never watched that original movie. Had you guys? Okay. Had you seen it, like, of its era in that time?
Mm-hmm. I remember seeing it. And there was another Alan Alda, Carol Burnett movie too that was a few years later that I kind of liked too. So it was interesting. It came out in 1981. So
I remember seeing it. I know I saw it, but I had to go back and watch it again to remember, I knew that it was the couples that were getting together and, kind of, and their evolution, but that was really it. So it was fun to watch it now in this era that we're in.
Yeah, it was.
And then of course to compare it to the Netflix.
So did you have expectations when you started watching the series? So like for me, who hadn't watched the movie, and maybe for our listeners who never watched the movie, did you have, I'm just curious, did you guys have a set of expectations as to what this was going to be? Other than that basic story, couples each other. And
I couldn't remember enough of it. I went back and watched the old movie later. I couldn't remember enough of it. I just knew that was the gist. They get together on vacation, all the time in the different Four Seasons and different things happen. That's all I could really remember. So I really enjoyed the new series. Really enjoyed it.
I did. When I knew that we were going to do this, I went and watched the original movie first.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And then I watched the reboot. And so I didn't really have any expectations. I had a lot of curiosity. I was like, okay, how is it going to be different? How is it going to be similar? How will they modernize it? And I think that's something that I'm always thinking about on this topic. When the decision is made that, a movie company is going to remake something.
Yes.
Why, first of all, like who raises their hand and says, ooh, we need to remake Pretty in Pink because, or we need to remake The Breakfast Club. Can you imagine?
How about Roadhouse? Why did we need another? The original Roadhouse with dear, heartthrob Patrick Swayze.
Yep.
Why? What story was left untold that needed to be? this at least, I'm joking about that, but when you think about the Four Seasons as the movie, I think that they did a really good job of taking the premise and retelling it to fit today.
Okay, I have not seen it.
You what?
I have not seen it.
You didn't watch it? I said the Four Seasons.
I thought you were talking about Roadhouse.
No, not Roadhouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
Are they doing a remake of Roadhouse? Is that
they did do it with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's one that nobody watched. I don't know.
I don't know. I think a lot of people did, but I think they were younger.
Yeah. Of course, who knows why? My guess is why. It was a fairly popular movie. So they're looking, well, now let's modernize it and make some more money. We know the storyline and everything is successful and people might like it. So here, let's redo it and make money off of it. You know what I mean? Instead of there's a lot of flops. So, it would at least be semi-successful. So
yeah,
that would be my guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So I do have some specific topics that I thought would be fun to talk about in the comparison between the two. Yeah. And again, one of the questions that I had was, how will they modernize this? Because they will in some way, and that's always something that I'm particularly interested in. So first of all, the topic of friendship, comparing between the two. So for those of you who haven't seen it, please go watch it, because it really is, it really is the original, a great film. The original focuses on these upper middle class couples that come together for their holidays, their vacations. And then one husband, out of the blue, says, I'm divorcing my wife. After basically having this big conversation amongst the four of them about, aren't we so lucky that all of us are staying together, right? And then the one husband says, I'm out. Fast forward, brings a new girlfriend into the group. And so there's this really interesting focus on friendship, emotional loyalty.
Yeah. I think we can all talk about that.
We can. Yeah. That is definitely a thing. In divorce, what friends do you lose? Because they go with the other crowd. How do you still fit in with your
you don't just divvy up kids and fight for the kids. Sometimes there's the fighting for the friends. And can you invite both? And what happens when you do?
Yeah. Yep.
There was a funny experience in the original and in the reboot about that when they both show up. Very funny. It seemed like in the Netflix series that the storyline sort of went a little bit deeper into some of those emotional boundaries and kind of the messiness of the friendships. And there was just more depth. You can do more depth when you've got 8 episodes versus a movie.
Yeah.
And I really, I
2 hours versus 8 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so here's the question around this, and we've already talked about it a little bit. Do we handle friendship breakups more openly now? Does that Netflix version reflect how our generation talks about loyalty and boundaries? What do you guys think about that?
Good questions. I wouldn't say we're any better, honestly. Probably not.
That sort of human behavior probably hasn't changed a whole lot.
Probably not.
I would think that the feelings are the same. I would think it's more awkward now than it was, in part because of social media, coming back to social media. And before, you might only run into the friend that has been left out. occasionally. Here, your group of friends are always, not always, but there's a much more likely chance that through your social media network, you are going to see where you are left out.
Yep.
So I think that it's more awkward. I think it's more awkward now. I think that feelings can be hurt maybe more because you see what you're missing. You see what you didn't get invited to. Not unlike what middle schoolers and high schoolers are going through. Those feelings still hurt.
Yeah. Ugh.
So, when we joke about we're so glad that there was no social media when we were in high school, what you didn't know didn't hurt you.
Yes.
Yeah. It truly was a simpler time. It really was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. I thought in the original movie, first, rewatching it, and I feel like this is the case for a lot of older movies or shows, pretty cheesy, honestly. But
when you watch it again.
When you watch it, yeah. Couldn't get over the fact that did you notice they were always kissing each other? You know what I mean? Do you have friends that couple friends that you kiss? Did you not notice that? I mean, they were all, like pecks on the cheek. I mean, constantly. Yeah. They'd meet and they'd all kiss each other on the cheeks and lips, and it was just, they were kissing all the time. It was just so weird to me. That was weird to me. That's
now different. I wonder if that's and perhaps our listeners can help us out with this, because I wonder if that is geographical.
Oh.
I kind of assumed that was a Northeast New York setting. What are what cultures live in that area where they are very demonstrative? In the Midwest, we are not.
No.
Miss, I don't like hugs in the upper corner.
Not really wanting somebody to. No.
You don't want me to reel you in and give you a peck on the cheek?
Well, you and I and Kitty, fine, but I mean, literally, they'd come together. I mean, it would be like the one night they're just going to their hotel rooms and going to bed. They're all kissing and then they disperse. It's like, what are you? What?
Okay, but it wasn't. But we need to clarify. It was not in swinger type kissing.
No,
they were.
That's not what I mean. Yeah. But I'm just saying that's not a thing, and it's certainly not around here. Like I said, it's pecks on the cheek, but all of them. It was just funny to see to me.
Now, so I didn't notice that in the series.
No.
Okay.
No.
So that to me, then I feel like it's yes, Amy, it could be a regional thing, but I think it's also an era thing. I mean, those couples were very, very close friends.
Right. Yes.
And they only saw each other,
4 times a year.
4 times a year. So but that was not something that was carried over into the series. And I think just because you just don't see people do that today.
No. Was there any nudity in the new series? I don't think there was. Was there?
There was some skinny dipping.
When they went skinny dipping.
Well, they went. Yeah. I can't remember the skinny dipping in the series. Did they? They went skinny dipping in the original one. Oh, see, I can't remember.
Yeah, they did.
So I was more surprised that they went skinny dipping in a movie in 1981 and you could see some buns. You know what I mean? I mean, that's as much as it was. But I thought that was surprising for 1981, but maybe not. I don't know.
No? I thought in 1981, in the original movie, every time they were together, they were in really close quarters, really tight. Like that puts that extra, pressure on the group. Like when they were all out on that boat.
Yeah.
I would have jumped off. I would have jumped and tried to swim and strand myself on the desert island, because just being that, where you couldn't even walk, and that was just too much.
Yeah.
too much. So I also liked the time span better of the series.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we haven't mentioned yet. I mean, okay, we'll keep going with your outline, Kitty, because
Okay.
I'm sure we'll get to it.
Yep.
So, and this can be a very quick little comparison, but I thought the role of women in the two, the women were very different.
Hmm.
The women in the original, Carol Burnett, Rita Moreno, Sandy Dennis,
Sandy Dennis.
Sandy Dennis, enjoyable characters, smart, funny, witty, but they were often reacting to their husbands. They were very subservient isn't the word, but they were
They
the
weren't
wives.
the main characters. Yeah,
Right.
they were the wife. Yeah.
Yeah, they were the wives. So, yeah, and then in the series, the female characters, entrepreneur, therapist, creative, these were stronger female characters. But you know what? I would expect that. So that was one way that it was modernized, and I was pleased with that. I thought that was
Right.
great.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
we
like
haven't-
everybody. I'm sorry. I was just going to say it was like everybody had a story in the
Mhm.
modern.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much more depth, much more character development.
And again, they had 8 episodes to do it.
Mhm.
We haven't brought up that in the series there's a gay couple. That's
Yep.
definitely a modernized, compared to the.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was thinking with, when we say the wives were reactionary, the partners were the two husbands because they were married. One was the core of the group, one was the add-on, just like so he came into it later. We're assuming he came into the history later. And not everybody was happy about his how he fit in to the group.
Yeah.
Fit in?
Fit.
Okay, another bad word. Much like the new girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Mhm.
So that's back to that relationship dynamic. So we had, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So the partner of the core person in the group, names won't even matter here, but the Italian,
Yep.
the Italian, I loved him. I thought he was a great character. And so when other people were annoyed by him, I'm just like,
No.
and Bill watched the whole thing with me too. And he agreed. Like, he's a cool dude. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought he did a
fun.
lot of fun and he did a lot of good things for the group in
Mhm.
general. So
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I think that Tina Fey almost played the Alan Alda part. Like she was the more dominant out of that couple. So she was the primary.
Mhm.
Will Forte, her husband was the secondary.
Yeah, I would say.
So in the series, it wasn't strict husband, wife, husband, husband, partner. To me, it felt like some of the women were the primary character and their husbands were the secondary.
Yeah. So the guy that played Tina Fey's husband,
That's Will Forte.
Will Forte.
Forte, is that how you pronounce it? Yeah.
okay.
He is one of their comedian improv long time. I think he wrote for SNL.
Yep.
I think he might have been on SNL, not for very long.
He was on SNL. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in a lot of those. He's with that group of friends that.
I wasn't super crazy. I wasn't crazy about him.
Me neither.
Yeah, I agree. When what you said there is exactly right. She took on more of the Alan Alda role from the original movie, and yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So This is my shot, by the way. This is my little thing that I have in my hand.
Oh,
I do have a shot when we talk about the pill bottle.
Good. Well, we'll find out what drugs you're on later. Coming soon.
So, okay, let's talk about the breakup, right? So, Jack's affair, and then sudden remarriage. So it's revealed that he has had a lot of girlfriends, and then finally decides to break up and have a new relationship. So it's very much portrayed as midlife crisis, which is kind of what it would have been talked about and seen as back then. Midlife crisis versus in the series, a blossoming, a personal awakening, right? I mean, just difference of semantics, a completely different way of.
Yeah, because they never said midlife crisis, but that's certainly what it was, considering his age and then her much younger age.
Okay, I looked at it a little bit as I did something similar, except I did not go out searching for a younger man. But to the people who didn't know, it looked like my ex and I had this, steady, solid relationship. And I knew I wanted more than what I was getting. I think that Jack did the same thing. So I don't know that anybody would describe a woman asking for divorce as a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
But I think it's stereotypical for a man. It's a midlife crisis.
Yes.
You go buy a sports car, you divorce your wife, you
get something younger. Yeah.
Very,
very young. Yes. Very young.
And that was the other part that I wanted to talk about. The comparison between the two. The younger newcomer, the younger girlfriend, I think in both the original movie and the series, they played that part really well. And I thought those two roles were incredibly similar. Like what they were going through, what the dynamic was, didn't need modernizing. I think that it was the same. You're younger, you're looked at with a bit of not disdain, but dismay. Your opinions and feelings were pushed to the side because you didn't know, you haven't been here as long. And they allowed the frustration of that character to show.
Yes.
And I thought that was, so I liked that. I guess I never would have thought of what that person went through in 1981.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because also we didn't see that because we didn't have social media.
I thought that it was fun that they took it further and showed him going on a weekend away with
her friends.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And just how uncomfortable it was. And he's just like, you're doing what?
So uncomfortable for him. But again, I think it probably was the same for her, with his friends. So yeah, that was funny. That was a funny part. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see. What else did I have here?
Oh, I have a question. Do any of your friends, your male friends, now have a significantly younger partner? Or women friends, although, that would really be the oddity right now.
Yeah.
No.
I can't think of anybody.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's got to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I would assume. Yeah. Yeah, I think it probably does.
I was just curious.
No, I don't know any.
So, and this is going to kind of bring us back around to kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of the conversation. So do you think that the Netflix version is playing tribute to the original, or do you think that it is, because it's, I don't know that I would go so far to call it a cult classic, but it is a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Was it simply rewriting the classic with some modern edge to it? And did it need to be done?
I actually really am glad they did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think it happens way more often. And I think that they held true to the relationships and really told the deeper story that you couldn't do in the in a 2-hour movie back then. So I thought that they're both standalone. I don't think you have to watch the original to enjoy the series. I think if you watch the series, you'd go back and get a kick out of it. Although, like Stacey said, it would feel cheesy just because everything that you watch from former eras feels a little, it's like, I'm sure it's like the Star Wars fans who watched the 3 originals, like, oh my God, can you believe, how did anybody believe that cinematography or, the technical side of it?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But it was good. I liked the remake. I don't care why they did it. You asked if it was a what'd you say? Honoring the old one or something. Yeah. So the new one did have Alan Alda in it for a tiny little bit, which I thought was nice. They had him in for a little. So yeah.
I like it.
I do wonder, like, who comes forward and says, okay, guys, it's time to remake. Well, the Wizard of Oz isn't a good idea because
Wicked.
Spin-off of that. Because really, I mean, Wicked isn't Wizard of Oz.
No.
Right.
There's no Dorothy. There's like that storyline isn't in there at all.
Yeah, it's before it. So it's not really a remake, but it's taking that story or pre-story.
It's like part of the franchise.
Yeah.
The prequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
We should have looked up, and I didn't research, but I wonder who produced it. You know what I mean? Like, did Tina Fey produce the?
I think so.
Oh, yeah, I think so
too. So that's the question. Yeah, was this her idea or something? Yeah.
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 So some of the classics that are out there, so like growing up around Easter time, we would always watch the 10 Commandments. Did you guys watch that?
Yeah, I mean, not like, it was not like the Wizard of Oz at Halloween that I watched every year, and the Sound of Music that I watched every year.
Yeah. The 10 Commandments for us, that was every year. And that's one that I just think, why has somebody not redone that? Because with the modern technology that we have, the cinematography and all of that, I just think that could be an amazing film.
Mm-hmm.
Can you find another Charlton Heston? I mean, how do you find those actors that can live up to and not replicate what they did, but, pay tribute to these pieces of work, these films that were groundbreaking at the time. Now, I'm not saying that the Four Seasons was groundbreaking,
Right.
But
right.
On the topic of these movies that really kind of were, Gone with the Wind. Yeah.
No one's done that. Would that work today? Being, wouldn't you call that? I don't know if that's the right word, but antebellum. Isn't that what that? I don't know that one works today. I don't think it'd fly today.
Well, I think you'd have to tell another half of the story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which could make it really, really interesting.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
But then you think about the old cowboy movies And now you look at the whole Taylor Sheridan group of shows where they've taken what was, conquering the West, and now they've developed a series about it, a multi season series about, what is it, 1886, 1923. So similar, and that you're taking some of the classics that we used to watch and being able to put it into a streaming service. You can dive in much more and get. How come nobody's redone Little House on the Prairie? Talk about a classic.
Yeah.
That would be good.
I don't know. Or would kids want to watch Laura and Nellie getting into it on the playground? What's the equivalent of that?
Yeah, I'm guessing probably not.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can we talk about Sex in the City? Sex and the City. And it's not like it's a remake today, but they do have the series and Just Like That on HBO Max, which I've said I really liked. I've been watching that, really like it because I think, again, it's our age group. So there's a lot of things I can identify with. I think it's very timely. And Just Like That. So I went back and watched some of the old Sex and the City. I watched the season 1, episode 1 and 2, and then I skipped forward to the last season and watched a couple in the middle, just because I wanted to see if it was, you know what I mean, how different that would have been. I thought it was funny that I noticed, and I don't know how long it went, but in the beginning, she talked to the camera. So you remember that thing, like Ferris Bueller, was the start of it, I think. But she did a lot of talking to the camera. But by season 6, she wasn't. She was doing that,
narrating her column,
narrating it behind it, like the new movies and the new thing was. So I thought that was interesting. Something that would not fly today. Episode 2 has Barkley, this guy she knows. It's played by Gabriel Macht. Do you know him from Suits?
I would have to see him. I'm the worst at
the name.
Actors' names. Yeah.
So this episode was called Modelizer, and they called him a modelizer. So somebody who actively tried to date models, right? Okay. So he would, and like I said, this is the part that I don't think would fly today. He videoed, secretly videoed him with the models. Okay. Are you getting my gist?
Yes. You can say it.
They were having sex. He would secretly video him. And then she goes to see, he's like an artist and he's doing all these art, whatever. And she questioned like how he makes his money because he's never sold any of his art. But he has this big TV wall, the old style giant TV up on all these TVs. And he turns it on and they all start playing. And I thought the interesting thing was that she wasn't upset. And she asked, well, do they know you? No, they don't know, So that was, I thought, pretty interesting to me. And again, who knows what else through it. I just thought that was for episode 2. And
right now that would be hugely controversial. Actually, it wouldn't be controversial to show it. You would have to have part of the storyline, the controversy.
Yeah.
And then it just went on. I think she was kind of half into it and was smoking a cigarette at the end. And then that was the end of the episode. It was just like, yeah. So that's the difference between 1998 and today, I think. I just thought that was very, very different. So
Kitty, you said you never really watched the series, right?
No.
Correct.
I did. I really enjoyed it because it was, again, a peek into a lifestyle I was not experiencing.
I forgot that piece that I was going to say. So at the time, like I said, 98, we had little kids. We were not living that life. You know what I mean? So
I've never been to New York in 1996.
No. So so we
1998.
98
Kitty, was that the year we went?
started in 98, ended in 2004. But I mean, yes, besides
Yeah, I
even
think so.
just, but
Mhm.
besides just New York, just that whole singles fancy, lifestyle that they could do whatever, again, we were home with kids and
Yeah.
yeah, so couldn't identify with what they were doing, but enjoyed watching it just to see,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have HBO Max. I have watched the 2 movies that they put out.
Mhm.
I found one of them. I think the first one okay. I was highly irritated by the second one,
Second
and I
one.
was highly irritated by a couple of the characters, and I felt like they were caricatures of
Mhm.
real life people instead of actually being true. And I thought the 2 that were caricatures were Samantha and Charlotte.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a lot of people say that they don't like the second one very well.
Yeah.
I like the new characters in the new series. They've brought in a couple new characters that I like them.
Yeah, and I remember there was lots of conversation about how they had to modernize it because Sex and the City was very white.
Very white.
Incredibly white as a series.
Right. So the 2 new strong females in it, one is, I'm not sure. One's black, one I can't say. I would guess Indian, but
Persian or something like that, from the Middle East.
Yeah, American, but American.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't watch it, but I would hear little things about it. So, and Samantha didn't come back and do the new, right? So,
Right.
was that weird? Was there like something missing? Was that obvious? How did they address that? Or was it just a non-issue?
No, it was addressed in like the first season. She was on, I would call remotely, like they talked on the phone.
Okay.
She never came into the same set, but they did. They talked on the phone basically. You know what I mean? So yeah, they wrote it as that, basically Carrie was miffed that she just skipped. I can't even remember because that's been, like I said, 3 seasons ago. She took off from left New York, right?
Yeah.
And just thinking they're, too good of friends to just, leave and not say much and whatever is how they handled it. But they made up over the phone and whatever. So yeah.
And super awkward because the whole backstory about how
Yeah.
Kim Cattrall was not happy.
Yeah.
And did not like, all of them. So that's always interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
Are there any old shows or movies or series that you guys have gone back to try and watch and they just don't work now?
Well, I don't know if I would say it just didn't work, but Bill and I popped on Urban Cowboy not too long ago.
Okay. With Sissy and Buddy? Isn't that what that was?
Bud.
Yeah.
And it's just so, I don't know that cheesy is even the word, but there were so many times that we would just look at each other and go, oh my God, I can't believe they just said that, or I can't believe they just did that, or whatever. And I can't even tell you how many times I went to the movie theater to see that movie.
Oh, really? You went multiple times?
Oh, I went probably a dozen times.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, whatever year that was. I don't know what year that was. And I also remember I had a cowboy hat at the time. So I would wear my cowboy hat to the movie.
Oh, that's funny.
That is funny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I remember loving Northern Exposure.
Oh,
Did you guys ever watch that as a TV series?
Okay,
I
I
caught
do
a little
remember
of it.
watching that.
Yep.
Yes.
And so Georgia, for a while, got into watching Twin Peaks.
Mm.
Now she went back and watched Twin Peaks. And I'm like, oh, if you love Twin Peaks of the same era, not the same storyline, but kind of quirky and really interesting characters, you should watch Northern Exposure. So I went back to try and start it again. And I called her. I'm like, don't watch this one. It doesn't, it's weird. Now it's kind of like, huh. That one I remember being in love with. I remember, and I think I actually recommended it as a shot to go back and watch something. 6 Feet Under, which does have a little. It was streaming. I don't know, 10 years ago, 12 years. Hell, it could be 15 years ago. I have no idea. I can't also place things in time or space. But that had a huge kind of cult following, 6 Feet Under. And I tried to start it again. I tried to watch it with one of the weirdos that I dated that I thought would get a kick out of it. And it just didn't. It didn't hit. It didn't land. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of that.
Yeah.
A lot of those.
Mm.
are there any shows or movies you wish people would redo?
Well, I mean, I'm
You said the Ten Commandments.
Urban Cowboy with a new story.
I mean, sure. Yeah.
I wonder with the Ten Commandments if that is so beloved that it's never going to live up.
Yeah.
Just like you should not redo The Sound of Music.
Oh, no.
Right.
Because that you can watch today and yeah.
Oh, shoot, what was I just going to say? I can't remember.
I don't
It'll
know.
come to me.
Are you going to tell us about your shot, your medicine bottle?
I sure can. Okay. So, and I mean, you guys might already know this, but this was mind-blowing to me. Okay, so if your pill bottles are this kind, so not all pharmacies have this kind, right? But, all of these have the safety, right? So you actually have to push that down and then turn it, right? It's the child protection thing.
Yeah.
So let's say you don't have any kids in your house and you don't have to have that thing locked down. Did you know that all you have to do, that if you want to use it the other way,
No, did not know that.
Hey, that's a good one. Wow.
I know. And it's
Who
like,
knew?
yeah, sure enough, it is designed for that specifically. You don't want it this way, you do it this way.
Are there directions on the top for that, or just we were supposed to notice the thread on the top?
I think we were just supposed to know that. And I discovered it because I saw it on one of those, it was either Facebook or Instagram, those little videos where somebody says,
I was today years old.
Yeah, I was today years old when I learned this.
Yep, exactly. And I was like, huh.
Wow.
I promptly went to my pill bottles and I switched
them all around. There you go.
Oh, I thought you were going to say we could use it as a jewelry carrier so our things didn't tangle together.
I could not figure out where the heck you would have been going. So.
Well, I am pleased to know that you two had never heard of that before, because that means a lot of people probably have never heard of it. So.
Nope, you got us on that one.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I golfed today. I took a day off. Golfed in a four-lady best ball. And
how was that?
Well, we got third to last. I mean, that's right. So here's my actual shot. We know we are not going to be good, but yet we do it all the time. And I think that's my shot. Like, there are too many women who, I'm just not good enough for a tournament. Well, you might be better than we are. So So
drive to Jewel and
Yes,
sign up
right?
for this particular tournament.
You might beat us. No, I just think I've heard that a lot. Like, oh, I'm not good enough for a tournament. Oh my gosh, you're certainly good enough for any women's tournament. So go play.
And the cool thing I will say about a women's golf tournament, you're only playing with your 4 friends.
Yes.
Nobody else, I mean, the group behind you might know that you're taking a little bit longer, but they don't know.
Oh yeah.
Who cares?
Blah. It was 4 hours of blah 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 and a little bit of golf. Literally.
Yes.
So what could possibly be bad with that? And it was a nice day too. So
yeah, that's awesome.
So there's my shot. Go play in a tournament. It's best ball. Nobody cares. So
Okay. I do have a shot, and this is just a weird one. It's not weird, but so as somebody who's trying to get more protein into their diet, and you know that breakfast is really hard for me because I don't eat eggs, and so it's hard to get protein. So I occasionally try those Kodiak brand. They've got Kodiak pancakes. There's also a muffin mix, and this is my whole thing, the protein blueberry muffin mix. Now, the pancakes don't have any great flavor to it and require a lot of syrup, which kind of defeats the idea, but still protein. So I got it into my head that I was going to make these blueberry protein muffins, but I was going to add real blueberries to it for real flavor. And I did. I added probably at least a cup of blueberries that I tossed in just a little bit of flour so they didn't sink to the bottom. And damn if they don't taste good. And I ate 2 of them. And I went from 8:30 in the morning till noon without being hungry.
Hey.
You can take a protein product, add something real to it, and make it not taste like just, some of that stuff just tastes like filler.
Yeah.
Like the protein bars, they just taste like pureed mush.
I know.
Yeah. So this did not. The addition of real,
real fruit.
Chop up a banana, put it in there. Chop up, real fruit right now. Actually made it taste. It was really enjoyable. So that's my tip.
Hey, good one. Well, we're full of shots tonight.
We're full of something.
We are.
We are routinely full of something.
That we are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, should we wrap?
Give 4 seasons a try.
Yeah, it's a wrap. Good job.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation. I'm about to start a celebration. Let me in. Brought a good time plus some friends. Turn it up loud past 10. Turning up the crowd when I hit 'em.